Hi, welcome to St Martin in the Fields for the service of Global Carol. I'm Harry Ching, the Assistant Vicar for International Ministry. First, we will hear a reading, the reading of Genesis, read out by Naoko in Japanese, followed by her husband, Sean, who will tell us about celebrating Christmas in Sweden.
創世記22章15節から18節。主の御使いは再び天からアブラハムに呼びかけた。御使いは言った。私は自らにかけて誓うと主は言われる。あなたがこのことを行い、自分の独り子である息子すら惜しまなかったので、あなたを豊かに祝福し、あなたの子孫を天の星のように、海辺の砂のように増やそう。あなたの子孫は敵の城門を勝ち取る。地上の諸国民はすべてあなたの子孫によって祝福を得る。あなたが私の声に聞き従ったからである。
I've had the great privilege of living in a number of different countries and experiencing Christmas in different ways from the way that we celebrate here in the UK. Those countries are namely Sweden, where I lived for about 3.5 years, Germany, where I lived for a year, Taiwan, where I also lived for a year, and Japan, where I spent 10 years. And in each of those countries, Christmas had a very different feel. Obviously, in Germany and in Sweden, which are much more deeply Christian countries, the experience was much more of a spiritual one. And when I reflect back, perhaps the thing that sticks in my mind most and has made the biggest impression on me is my Christmases in Sweden. I lived in a rural part of Sweden, and in Sweden, Christmas Eve is the big family gathering day where the family gets together and we have the big meal. And where I lived, we would go after the meal in the evening to the graveyard where relatives were buried and put lanterns on their graves. And the idea here was that they could also be included in the Christmas experience, that we remember them. And I thought that that's a very good way to incorporate people in who are dearly departed into the Christmas experience. And that's something which now I'm living back in the UK, which I try to incorporate into my life here, or at least remember those who have departed as well. Thank you for letting me share this with you.
静かに眠れる小さい村、ベツレヘムよ今中馬屋に起これることをなれは知らす。見たみの望みし主のみあれそう。So I'm joined by Christian, our pastoral assistant, and now he's going to tell us about how Christmas is different in the Philippines back in the day.
Right, yeah. Well, Philippines is known to be, I think, the only country that celebrates the Christmas the longest. Once September 1 hits, you will hear Christmas song on the malls, and the jeepneys or the taxis.
Did you say September?
September 1, and it finishes around the Epiphany, January 6th. That's when the Christmas songs kind of dies out. But it's the longest Christmas celebration there is. So if you want to celebrate Christmas for that length of time, September to January 6th, go to the Philippines. So there's a lot of celebration, there's a lot of, eating and drinking, and children singing from house to house, singing carols, and then the elderly would give money to those children. So when I was young, I used to go house to house and make a lot of money and have lots of sweets. Because once September hits, that's when I know I have a lot of money this season. So that's Philippines in terms of celebrating Christmas culturally. But in terms of the Christian gathering, we have a practice called Simbang Gabi. That means midnight mass. Mm-hmm. So originally it was for farmers, so they need to wake up early around 4 a.m. So after mass 5 a.m. they can do their farming, their work. But what happened, it became our tradition. And so now from December 16 up to Christmas Eve, every early morning, Filipinos gather in the church and do their simbang gabi, their night mass or dawn mass. So that's how we celebrate it as Christians. And so it's this cultural anticipation of the coming of Christ in our hearts, but at the same time, it's a community gathering. So if you take away Christmas for Filipinos, I think you wouldn't really be, it would be difficult to be a Filipino if you take away Christmas, I think. Well, that's for the majority of Filipinos, I would say. Yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
O magsaya at magdiwang, pagkat sumilang na.
为愿众生预备地方，主天萬物歌唱。
Kaya't ating buksan
主天萬物歌唱。
Een skriflesing uit Jesaja, hoofstuk 11. 'n takkie sal uitspruit uit die stomp van Isaai. 'n loot uit sy wortels sal vrugte dra. Die gees van die Here sal op hom rus. Die gees wat wysheid en insig gee. Die gees wat raad en sterkte gee. Die gees wat kennis verleen en eerbied vir die Here. Die takkie sal vrugte vind in die diens van die Here. Hy sal nie regspreek volgens uiterlike skyn nie, en nie oordeel volgens hoorsê nie. Hy sal die armes billik verhoor, en die ootmoediges in die land regverdig oordeel. Hy sal die goddeloses in die land hard oordeel, met sy uitsprake sal hy hulle om die lewe bring. Hy sal regverdig en betroubaar regeer. Wolwe en skape sal dan saam bly. Luipaards sal tussen bokkies lê. Kalwes, leeu's en voerbeeste sal by mekaar wees. En klein seentjies sal vir almal sorg. Koeie en bere sal saam wei, hul kleintjies sal by mekaar lê. Leeu's sal gras eet soos beeste. Babatjies sal by die gate van adders speel. Klein kindertjies sal hulle hande uitsteek na giftige slange. Op my heilige berg sal niemand kwaad aanrig of iets verniel nie, want die aarde sal so vol wees van die kennis van die Here, soos die see vol water is. Hier eindig die skriflesing.
Hi, I'm joined by Michael, who's a member of our congregation at St. Martin's. He's also a member of the international group. Michael, it's great to have you with us. You're originally from Nigeria. Could you tell us a little bit more about what was it like celebrating Christmas back home in Nigeria?
Thank you, Reverend, for having me. Christmas is a period of celebration for the Christians, and especially for the children. Honestly, for the children, because that is a period where, you know, they have their parents to give them, you know, new clothes, choose, you know, prepare them some great food that they don't have regularly. You know, they have a special stew that the parents normally cook, you know, for the children. You know, Christmas is the birth of Christ. And every family want to celebrate it, because all through the year, you know, they have seen so much troubles, and they believe that Christmas, the birth of Christ, will usher in new opportunities in their lives. Okay. So they actually prepare for this Christmas period, for the coming of Christ. Right. And for the children, it's a season of merriment, because the parents, they know that the children will come calling for them to buy them clothes. Daddy, I want some clothes. I want some shoes. You know, I remember that so many years back, you know, there is this palm tree, you know, they go to the bush, they cut pantry and make makeshift, houses where the children will gather and eat the rice. So there's so many things, that and it goes on during the Christmas period. I remember that when the parents are preparing this food during the eve of the Christmas, you see the children horsing around, they're talking and joking. Oh, we're going to eat rice, I see they don't eat rice before, but Christmas rice is a special rice.
Right.
Very special rice.
Lovely.
And I tell you one thing, Christmas in Nigeria is highly celebrated.
Lovely. That's something we Chinese and Nigerians share, the love of rice.
Yes.
We'll look forward to tasting a bit more Nigerian delicacy.
You will love it.
Thank you.
You will love it. Yeah.
I look forward to it.
We have a special rice,
Yeah, I had that before.
Yeah, you had that before.
Looking forward to it.
That's good. That's
Cheers.
good. Yes.
Thanks.
I'm joined by John here, who's a Tamil speaker. Obviously, if you guys come to St. Martin, you recognise John. John's been here for a very long time. Your ancestral home's in Malaysia?
Malaysia.
And could you tell us a little bit more about how Christmas is different in Malaysia to what we're used to?
Christmas in Malaysia is rather very diversified in the sense that all the 7 major religions, they come together.
Yeah.
And you see all of them for the services on Christmas Eve midnight service and Christmas morning. And that's the only time you see all the mingling of all the various races coming together. And then we have also the nativity play as well by the children on Christmas Eve. That happens in the daytime. So. And then we prepare, there's carol singing all throughout. And the thing is, the only difference is that it's done on a very solemn, somber, the whole occasion. But on Christmas Day itself, we have got an 8 o'clock service early in the morning.
Yeah.
And we've got a 10 o'clock.
Right.
And we've got a 12 o'clock service. So 3 services.
Yeah.
And that's the time you see the mingling of all the people. And then once that happens, it's all a home affair. Everybody goes back to home. It's an open house. Everybody comes in, the dinner is served. There's turkey, both roasted as well as curried as well. Yes. So we have a bit of both there in that part of the world. And you find everybody coming and mingling, Sort of, obviously there's alcohol, there's various drinks available for them to eat and drink. Children come. Presents and gifts actually exchanged on that day. And we have got a Christmas tree in the house. Everybody has got a Christmas tree in the house. And even the churches, they have Christmas trees. And that's the thing is, when there, the Tamils there, they all come in saris, in colourful saris.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So it's a joyful celebration. And then the others dress in their own traditional costumes and all that. And therefore, you find it's a much diversified affair.
Sure. Great. Thank you. Look forward to hearing more. God bless.
Thank you.
Now we have Anna, who's our verger. She's also from Malaysia, and she'll tell us her version of Christmas in Malaysia.
Well, I was brought up in Methodist background, so different denominations celebrate Christmas slightly differently. But for Methodist church, where I was from, we have lots of services, big services throughout Advent and Christmas, up to Christmas Day. So what we do is we have a lot of caroling, not just services. We go from home to home to each congregation's houses, and then we will sing carols, and we will have like kind of communion with them, and then we move, like the choir will move from different houses, from house to house. And then lead up to Christmas Eve, we usually have big services in the evening. We don't have midnight mass like Anglican Church. What we do is we have a big performance and show, which involve like families and also local, also the church, schools and the church around the neighborhood. And then we will have a nativity play, and we have also dancing performance, and we also have reflections. And we also have, afterwards we also have a gathering. Always involve food. It's always involve food. On Christmas Day we have like a family service. It's also congregation with their family and friends, usually welcome like neighbors around us. So we usually have a Eucharist service, and then we'll go home separately, and then we have our family meal, and then I'll visit friends and family. That's
very eventful.
It's very exhausting from Christmas in
That's
Asia.
what Boxing Day is for.
Yeah.
在這燈飾璀璨都市中，耀眼燈飾仿似千串夢，仍是每處夢裏的景緻，晚空裏飄送。誰是這節日裏的主角？你懂不懂？萬闕歌聲渲染都市中，沒有一首可以稱與眾。旋律佈滿歡笑的音韻，晚空裏飄送。誰是這節日裏的主角？誰又會懂？他身穿紅衣，還是身穿粗衣麻布？他靜靜幹身人世，還是以雪車到步？他輕聲流走，還是應許一生懷抱？賜予百千滿意，還是賜予眾恩典到老？
到了第6個月，天使加百列奉神的差遣往加利利的一座城去，這城名叫拿撒勒。到一個童女那裏，是已經許配大衛家的一個人，名叫約瑟。童女的名字叫瑪利亞。天使進去對她說：
蒙大恩的女子，我問你安，主和你同在了。
瑪利亞因這話就很驚慌，又反覆思想這樣問安是什麼意思。天使對她說：
瑪利亞，不要怕，你在神面前已經蒙恩了。你要懷孕生子，可以給他起名叫耶穌，因他要為大，稱為至高者的兒子。主要把他祖大衛的位給他，他要作雅各的王，直到永遠，他的國也沒有窮盡。
瑪利亞對天使說：我沒有出嫁，怎麼有這事呢？天使回答說：
聖靈要臨到你身上，至高者的能力要蔭庇你，因此所要生的聖者必稱為神的兒子。況且你的親戚以利沙伯在年老的時候也懷了男胎，就是那素來稱為不生育的，現在懷孕6個月了。因為出於神的話，沒有一句不大能力的。
瑪利亞說：我是主的侍女，情願照你的話成就在我身上。天使就離開她去了。
Hello all, I'm joined by Lenus, who's a faithful member of our congregation, and you're from the Caribbean, and would you like to tell us a story about your, how Christmas is celebrated back home?
It would be interesting to do that. And I do have lots of memories from my childhood in that regard. Probably the most astounding one is being asleep at night and being awakened to the loud, beautiful sound of Christmas carols being sung by choirs who came in from other villages to our village for this occasion. Now, because of Grenada's size, its population, and the fact that I grew up in the rural part of the island, we didn't have much gift exchanges either among family members or between family and the community. But the startling thing is the way the community came together on that particular occasion to celebrate Christmas. It was a situation where everybody, whether you this level or that level, you put out whatever you had and made it available to everybody in the community. And the people in the community will simply drift from one house to the next and participate in whatever it is was offered. It was a beautiful time. Sometimes the consumption of alcohol took priority over certain other things, and it led to the usual kind of disputes that accompany excessive drinking. But by and large, it was the only time I remember when our community really came together as a unit, right? And realized the supremacy of God in everything that we did, and we gave thanks to Him in the only way we knew how at this point in time. We didn't have Christmas Mass the way you do here. We didn't have a lot of things, but the little things that we had, that was the important thing. It's like Jesus having said to the lady in the temple who gave the few pennies that she had. She gave everything, right? Which is much better than some of the other people who were given a percentage of what they had. It was a lovely time. It was a time that's filled with nostalgia, and sometimes I wish to relive it. But the interesting thing about life in our community, as the older heads pass on and the younger generation take over, these traditions tend to fade into oblivion, and the nature of the celebration we have today might not be the same as the one I remembered.
Thank you for sharing your story with us.
You're welcome.
Now it's my turn to ask Harry of his experience of Christmas in Hong Kong.
Right, Christmas in Hong Kong, I often say it's Oxford Street on steroids, with all the Christmas lights in the sort of 2 kilometers of skyline, with Santa and all the Christmas neon light projection. And then on the very left of this skyline, there's one board that often says Jesus is Lord. And my home church, St. John's Cathedral, there's a lot of services on Christmas Eve, Germans and all the Norwegians, and followed by the trilingual midnight mass at 11 o'clock. Often people queue up many hours beforehand to try to get a seat of it. For a cathedral church that usually only seats 600 people, there were about 2,500 people for the occasion, so the halls and all other spaces. Sometimes it's warmer, people could have chairs being seated outside. And was it like 10 priests that distributes Holy Communion? I can't remember. Just so many. It's amazing. And that's the highlight. I'm sure many other churches would have overwhelming numbers of participants for the occasion. And it is great to be in Hong Kong. It's a mini version in terms of churches, but then because of few churches but a lot of people, there's often it's oversubscribed, so that's a good thing. But then also we've got the Chinese element of it, and it's a good cultural mix like London. And I guess it's not quite as exciting as some of my others parishioners would have given, but it's good to see that the legacy of the colonialism is on the more of a plus side in Hong Kong.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
平安夜， 圣山野，牧羊人在旷野，俯眼看见天上光华，听见天君唱哈利路亚，救主今天刚升。Hi, I'm joined by Richard, my colleague. Richard spent quite a bit of time in the Solomon Islands, and Richard, you can tell us a little bit about how Christmas is celebrated differently in the Solomon Islands.
Well, thank you very much, Harry. Yes, Solomon Islands, there's very few presents or gifts given, but there's a tremendous celebration of Christmas. In Pidgin we say for Christmas, happy too much for looking you fella. Happy Christmas now, me fella, happy today for looking you fella everyone. That's Pidgin English. And the Virgin Mary in Pidgin English is Mummy blong Jesus, where him no go with him any man yet ya. Or the mother of Jesus who hasn't been with any men. There you are, that's Pidgin English. I remember celebrating the Solomon Islands with singing and dancing and nativity plays that went on all through the night, and a real wonderful celebration in all the villages where we used to move from village to village singing carols, and all the village waking up and lighting candles and fires, and so everything taking place by firelight. I remember one Christmas when in the middle of the night there was a call from someone who was pregnant, and two of the members of my community rushed off to pray with her as she gave birth to a baby. And when they got back, I said to them, how was it? And they said, well, the woman was in a lot of pain. She had no hospital. She was behind her house in a little kitchen made with leaf. She was an unmarried mother, and so many people in the village thought that, you know, the pain was caused as a punishment because she'd become pregnant when she was unmarried. And I said to the two brothers, what did you say to her? They said, well, we knelt down and we prayed with her. And I said to the mother who was giving birth, don't worry, God is with you. Because when Jesus was born, he was born just like this. And then he said, and then the baby was born, and we helped the midwife with the delivery, and everything was fine. When Jesus was born, he was born just like this, in simplicity, in poverty, in places like the Solomon Islands where they still celebrate Christmas and remember that Christ has come among them. So, in Pidgin, happy Christmas now everyone, and me fella look forward for looking you. And one prayer from Solomon Islands in Pidgin. Me fella pray that God, Lord and Master blong you me everyone. By him come down and by him stop long hearts blong you me everyone. And by him bring him peace long you me everyone this fella Christmas and forevermore. Amen.
Thanks very much, Richard.
Hi, my name is Ugo Chamaka Inabuhe. I'm a member of St. Martin's in the Field, and then also a member of the international group on Sunday. I volunteer in the international group, and I would like to teach you Peace Be With You in my language, Igbo. It means, Peace Be With You means Udo Dirigi.
Udo Dirigi.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
God bless.
Now we will hear the story of Christ's birth read in Italian.
Una lettura dal Vangelo di Matteo, capitolo 2. Nato Gesù a Betlemme di Giudea al tempo di Re Erode, ecco alcuni magi vennero da Oriente a Gerusalemme e dicevano: dov'è colui che è nato il Re dei Giudei? Abbiamo visto spuntare la sua stella e siamo venuti ad adorarlo. All'udire questo, il re Erode restò turbato e con lui tutta Gerusalemme. Riuniti tutti i capi dei sacerdoti e gli scribi del popolo, si informava da loro sul luogo in cui doveva nascere il Cristo. Gli risposero: a Betlemme di Giudea, perché così è scritto per mezzo del profeta. E tu, Betlemme, terra di Giudea, non sei davvero l'ultima delle città principali di Giuda. Da te, infatti, uscirà un capo, che sarà il pastore del mio popolo Israele. Allora Erode, chiamati segretamente i magi, si fece dire da loro con esattezza il tempo in cui era apparsa la stella, e gli inviò a Betlemme dicendo: «Andate e informatevi accuratamente sul bambino, e quando l'avrete trovato fatemelo sapere, perché anch'io venga ad adorarlo». Udito il re, essi partirono, ed ecco la stella che avevano visto spuntare li precedeva, finché giunse e si fermò sopra il luogo dove si trovava il bambino. Al vedere la stella, provarono una gioia grandissima. Entrati nella casa, videro il bambino con Maria, sua madre, e si prostrarono e lo adorarono. Poi aprirono i loro scrigni e gli offrirono in dono oro, incenso e mirra. Avvertiti in sogno di non tornare da Erode, per un'altra strada fecero ritorno nel loro paese. Qui finisce la lettura.
Stille Nacht, heilige Nacht, alles schläft, einsam wacht, nur das traute hochheilige Paar. Holder Knabe im lockigen Haar, schlaf in himmlischer Ruhe, schlaf in himmlischer Ruhe.
Now we'll hear the St. John's Prologue, read in Greek.
The Prologue of the Gospel of St. John. Εν αρχή είναι ο Λόγος, και ο Λόγος είναι προς τον Θεόν, και Θεός είναι ο Λόγος. Ούτως είναι εν αρχή προς τον Θεόν. Πάντα δι' αυτού εγένετο, και χωρίς αυτού εγένετο ουδέ εν ο γέγονεν. Είναι αυτό ζωή ειν, και η ζωή είναι το φως των ανθρώπων. Και το φως εν τη σκοτία φαίνει, και η σκοτία αυτό ου κατέλαβεν. Εγένετο άνθρωπος, απεσταλμένος παρά Θεού, όνομα αυτό Ιωάννης. Ούτως ήλθεν εις μαρτυρίαν, ή να μαρτυρήσει περί του φωτός, ή να πάντες πιστεύσωσιν δι' αυτού. Ούκ είναι εκείνος το φως, αλλά να μαρτυρήσει περί του φωτός. Είναι το φως το αληθινόν, ο φωτίζει πάντα άνθρωπον, ερχόμενον εις τον κόσμον. Είναι το κόσμο ειν, και ο κόσμος δι' αυτού εγένετο, και ο κόσμος αυτόν ουκ έγνω. Εις τα ίδια ήλθεν, και οι ίδιοι αυτόν ου παρέλαβον. Όσοι δε έλαβον αυτόν, έδωκεν αυτοίς εξουσίαν τέκνα Θεού γενέσθε, της πιστεύσουσιν εις το όνομα αυτού, ή ουκ εξάματον, ουδέ εκθελήματος αρκός, ουδέ εκθελήματος ανδρός, αλλά εκ Θεού εγεννήθησαν. Και ο Λόγος σάρξε γένετο, και εσκήνωσεν εν ημίν. Και θεασάμεθα την δόξαν αυτού, δόξαν ως μονογενούς παραπατρός, πλήρης χάριτος και αληθείας.
Thank you for joining us, and we will now finally hear the Lord's Prayer being said in Taiwanese.
主的祈禱文。阮伫天liêng的爸，願你的名聖，你的國臨到，你的旨意你成伫地呢，親像伫天呢。阮的日食今仔日互阮，赦免阮的辜負，親像阮也赦免人的辜負。無得帶阮入敵市，就救阮脫離迄個歹的，因為國、權能、榮光，攏是你所有，代代無盡。阿門。
The blessing. May the peace of God, which passes all understanding, keeps your heart and mind in the love of God and with Son Jesus Christ our Lord. And may the blessing of God Almighty, 聖父、聖子、聖靈，賜福俾你哋，保守你哋，從現在直到永遠。阿門。Thank you for joining us.
主神於今神，我從內歡迎天恩，主榮耀完全歸主一身。大在父本將直聖子來顯明，
O sambahin nga natin, O sambahin nga natin, O sambahin Kristo, Panginoon.